Hi there, welcome back to our radio show here, and I'm glad you're looking at our website to see some of the things I've posted that I hope you'll find of interest. Wrote a controversial column this week about medical marijuana. It seems to be the wave going through legislatures all over the United States. In my home state of Louisiana, medical marijuana was authorized 2 years ago under some questionable circumstances as who dispersed it, who actually makes it. And now there's new legislation going through our legislature in Louisiana that is enlarging the areas of who qualifies for medical marijuana. And I have some concerns about that. I'm not an old fuddy-duddy, too conservative. I think you ought to live and let live. But there are dangers that you and I, as the public, have to pay for when some of these supposed medical prevention techniques or ways to cure pain get out of hand. In the legislature in Louisiana right now, pretty much it's anything you have. If you got a backache, if you've got pain, if you have spasms, anything like that, then you can qualify for medical marijuana. And doctors who specialize in this area are pretty open to give out prescriptions. Got a doctor friend of mine who has a friend of his out in Oklahoma, practicing doctor. And the fellow in Oklahoma said, "Come on out here." He says, "I'm prescribing this medical marijuana. They line up in my office. I give out hundreds of prescriptions sometimes a day. Charge them $100 to do so. It's just a cash cow. You need to take advantage of it." That's how some in the medical profession look at it. In Louisiana, the distributors are pharmacies. There were 9 pharmacies authorized to give out the marijuana. Invariably, these pharmacies would find some out-of-state competitor to come, or rather helper to come in, set the whole thing up. They get a percentage of the fee, and it's all driven by money. And then when it went to pick who gets the distributorships, the state pharmacy board had a lot of discretion. There were review committees that ranked certain pharmacies 4th or 5th on the list. They got the license, even though they weren't even the top 3 or 4 on the list. So politics and money are a driving force, and that's a fact of life, I guess, all over the country. I don't like it, and but that's how it's kicked off here in the home state of Louisiana. Glaucoma, the eye problem, to where the pressures in the eye build a good bit. That's supposed to be something that gives release through, or relieve. You're relieved with the tightness with medical marijuana. Of course, a number of associations, the American Association of Ophthalmology, American Glaucoma Society, Glaucoma Research Foundation, all say that's bunk. You should not take medical marijuana for that particular purpose. And then I wonder, why isn't the medical profession, why isn't in my home state the Louisiana medical profession coming out and saying, well, that's fine. It's an alternative. Doctors can go ahead and do that. They're not touching it with a 10-foot pole. Medical associations all over this country are staying away from it. Individual doctors are, who see the dollar about. But as far as the profession themselves, they just don't get involved. We have a situation in my home state, again in Louisiana, where the legislature told the 2 major universities in Baton Rouge, LSU and Southern, you grow the marijuana and you put this whole thing together to be sure it's all clean and pure. Well, the schools immediately contract this out to outside groups who pay the schools big bucks to do this very thing. Again, money being the driving force, not the health of individuals. And that concerns me. And don't forget that marijuana in any form is still an illegal drug on the part of the federal government. It's a Class 1, Schedule 1 drug, which means it's considered very dangerous. Cocaine is not Class 1. Marijuana is. So according to the federal government, marijuana is more potent than cocaine and more addictive, if you will. And addiction is the whole thing. There is a case after case where addiction comes on strong. We talk about all the opioid addiction. Marijuana can be quite addictive. There's so many unproven facets we don't know about. What it does to your brain, what it does to your reflexes, the fact that auto accidents have increased in states like Colorado to where marijuana is legal. So there's so many unanswered questions, and a responsible legislature would direct your medical, they've set up a medical committee of top doctors throughout the state to study this whole thing for a year or two, report back, and put the limits on whether or not marijuana is a medical component that should be authorized and under what terms. That wasn't happening. It's all the lobbying, the pharmaceutical outlets. They're all in there for the money, and that's disturbing. That's disturbing. So I don't want to throw a cold water on what some people think is a real cure. I know that some people suffer a lot of pain. Varieties, I suffer a lot of pain. I've got arthritis in my body, but there's a variety of ways to treat that treat that pain. And I think that when you look at addiction and protecting the public, we just haven't gone far enough. Maybe we will one day, but right now, rather than looking at the research and seeing what results it has and laying all that out to the public, the quick fix is let's just give it to the distributors. We had the same thing with casino gambling down here, giving out the gambling licenses. And I think that's been a detriment to the state. I think marijuana, the rush to medical marijuana, is going to be a mistake too. Look at my new column here. It's on this website. Have some fun with my column. Glad you watched. Talk to you again next week.